My name is Adèle Fontaine. I love stories. Books are part of my life. I think I'm a book. I think maybe I was made from a book. I think maybe my head is a book. But when it comes to choosing 5 books that I love, I found that very, very difficult because I would have to have 10 murder mysteries that I love, 15 history books that I love, 79 poets that I love. So, okay, I did find 5, and we're going to limit it to that today, okay? I guess I would start with advice from a spiritual friend. Geshe Rabden and Geshe Darji really caught my heart with their book on explaining Buddhism in such a simple kind of way. They made the theories and the concepts and the ideas of Buddhism so alive for me. Very slowly, I clearly understood we are not born just one time. We keep coming back. As humans, we can come back as insects, we can come back as anything. It just depends what our lives have been like. But they really talk about the importance of conquering our own selves, especially getting rid of anger and learning to develop compassion. But it's about a practice and a meditation practice where you really look and see what you're thinking and just feel yourself. The next book I have, When Things Fall Apart, Pema Chodron. I have bought so many copies of this book for people, for my children, for my friends. It's about a woman, an American woman, who became a Buddhist nun. So it's advice during difficult times. And she says life is a really good teacher and a good friend because things are always in transition. A couple of years ago, one of my daughters in Montreal phoned me and she was having trouble with her directors at her work. And she said, "Mom, I don't know what's going on, but everything is..." I said, "Well, just stay in it. Just stay in the shit, my darling, and let it work itself through." She walked away from the phone. She said, "What a dumb mother I have telling me to stay in it. I'd like her to tell me how to get out of it." But that's the only way you can get out of it, is by staying in it and let it get changed by itself. So Pema is my great lady who gives advice about good things, okay? The next book I have, a murder mystery, because I just love murder mysteries. Maj Soval and Perwalu. She was a crime reporter and he was a policeman. And the two of them got together and started writing some of the best murder mysteries. There are 10 books all together. After her husband died, she kept on writing. And I think she wrote a couple of other books on her own. But it was the two of them together that just made these magical. The next book I'm going to talk to you about is The Making of Poetry. And it is the story of Dorothy Wordsworth, William Wordsworth, and Coleridge living together one whole year in a tiny cottage and going for walks all the time and coming back and writing about what they had seen. But it's just these walks that they did in nature that really made them become poets. And I think they, even today, still inspire me. So whenever I write on Sunday morning, I usually put about 3 or 4 Wordsworth's books and Dorothy's books and Coleridge's books right beside me, hoping that somehow it might inspire me. I don't know if it does, but I sure love them. And I think maybe their words might leap out and help me a little bit. And they are my heart. Some of Wordsworth's poems really catch my heart completely. Last book that I have, Woman Watching by Marilyn Simon. A book that I would just suggest to everyone to buy this, just so that you can understand the world around you and understand those birds that are there. So she would put all kinds of food out for the birds and just watch them and just observe them and feed them. She wrote to a man, Taverner, who was one of the top birders in Canada at that time. And Taverner, any questions she had about birds, he would write her big long letters and explain everything about the birds. And he said, "You should start banding them." And so she started catching them in little traps and putting a tiny little band around. She banded about thousands of birds. Not all of them did come back, but many of them did come back. She became one of the most top a really, really important ornithologist and was often named top lady who understood birds. There's one book that I didn't talk about and that I needed to talk about, Natalie Goldberg's book, Writing Down the Bones. And I have been reading and writing in Natalie Goldberg's style with many, many workshops and with students all over the place, how she changed my life by making me get really active in something that I love doing. So there are my 5 or 6 or 10 or 15 books that I snuck in. So you can see that I do love books. They're my best friends. Yes. I think reading to children is one of the most important things that you can do. It's the greatest treasure you can give your child. So it's a way that they get to really, really connect with others and with the world, and just it's another way of seeing. Just amazing. So read to your kids. Read, 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 read. And read to each other. It's just the best thing you can do.